So
Go
I
for
bought this. Thanks. I bought
it.
this thing that's a cassette converter, so you can take all your old cassettes and digitize them.
Ah, nice. You used to
So,
have to pay buku bucks for that. Now
well,
it's on a
I was walking down the street and there was some sign out that said like, transfers your VCRs or your cassettes and all this. So I went in, I said to the guy, and he was like, $40 a pop. He goes, of course, if you have a bunch, I can go down to 30. He goes, if you have a lot, maybe 20. Well, this whole thing cost me 20.
What an
Now
entrepreneur, man.
we're talking from the aerobics days where my
Yeah,
tapes were professionally mixed. I
right,
mean, this
right,
is like, jamming good stuff. You want to work
right,
out to some good stuff. This is it.
right. Exactly. No, I hear you. I
I'm
hear you
done.
on that.
Can,
No,
can I
no, I know, I get it.
can
I
I
get
share
it.
a visual with everybody?
Uh-huh, go for it.
I had a couple hundred 8 tracks. Yes, I'm that damn old. And I was moving one time and I'll call it an end table. And I put all these 8 tracks in the end table, put the end table in the back of my truck. The wind caught my end table, and I literally in my rearview mirror saw that end table go up and smash all 208 tracks. I go, well, there's my music history gone. And so I went, I guess it's time to move on to something else. At that time, cassettes were big, and somebody talked about this weird thing called a CD. I had no idea what it was. I
Yeah.
watched my 8 track history blow up literally in front of my face.
Grace, do you know what we're talking about?
Vaguely. I've heard my
Vaguely.
dad talk about it.
My dad said that. I love
Right? We have now entered the dead
that.
zone.
Oh, better than grandpa.
Right, right.
A
Yeah,
little.
grandpa starts talking about his 72 records,
Reel
They
to
were
reel.
this thick. The old records. Anyway, good morning, everybody. It's great to see you. This is Open Friday Coffee. I'm Janine Bolin, and we're going to start off with Grace, and then Kathy, and then Rich, and then Jeff. So, good morning, Grace. What can we do for you today?
Morning. I just wanted to share a couple achievements that I completed
Oh,
this week.
oh yeah, we love
Uh,
celebrating. Go for it.
well, guess who has a website? All finished, down to the privacy policy and everything.
Yay! Put
Nice.
it in the chat. We want the link. Link.
I will say my headshot is old and will be updated this weekend, but everything other than that is up to date.
This was
Hey.
when she was 15.
And
I was going to say, is it a baby picture? How old can it be?
Really old to us versus really old to you. Maybe something different. Oh, Grace, it looks lovely.
well, thank
Oh,
you.
nice. Oh, this is so lovely. No, this is good. Yeah, it's all you need. People
Hmm.
think you need so much. Literally, this is perfect. And you can always say, "Hey, I just put the website up. It's my own." So
Yep.
if you want to see the kind of garbage that I put up because I'm just starting out, you're welcome to take a look at this just so you see. Hang on, putting it in the chat now. But I'm in the process
Good for you, Grace. This is great.
of just
Thank
starting
you.
this. And yeah, congratulations
Yeah.
on what you're doing. Just some people will never do, and it's like progress, not perfection. And so some people look at my landing pages and I'm like, this is what my landing page looks like before it goes to my web guy who then will take the crap I've thrown up and go, I'm like, do something with this. And the only thing he says is, can you send me the links that are supposed to go in here? And so that's the only reason I was saying that. It's like yours is like, wow, looks
My
great.
sister is really good with design, and she sat down with me a
Oh,
couple days ago and helped me figure out everything that I was getting a headache over. So,
right?
yeah,
Yeah, because it'll drive you nuts if you don't know what you're doing. And then you get these wonderful
yeah,
web designers who like they thrive in the chaos that can be a website. They're like, "Oh, let me show you how we're going to hack through the weeds." And I'm like, "Thank you for the hours you've spent doing this." So, anyway,
yeah.
bravo. Bravo. Well done.
It looks
Thank
really
you.
nice.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's good.
Thank you.
So what's the next step?
Keep talking to people and calling people from my master contact sheet, I guess. I've had a few calls this week after I got over being sick, and I'm continuing to reach out to people.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, a lot of it is just letting people know you exist.
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
Yeah. And letting them know this is what I'm doing, this is who I am. So I'll do a deeper dive into your website and ask others who are good at SEO and say, is there anything
Okay.
that you can see that she needs to hone in on? Because this is kind of the broad-based rule. Who are you? What do you do? Where do you do it? Why should I care? These are the big ones.
Yep.
Answer those questions on a web page like what you have, just a landing page. The most important is, why should I care? Right? So you
Mhm.
want to make sure you target you really have in your head the person that you're catering to. All right.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
that'll be what works best. And speaking of SEO and people who design websites and all that, as soon as Nancy comes on, there she is. Nancy, hi. Speaking of websites, SEO, and people who know what they're doing, Nancy then arrives. Da, 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 and Nancy told me this morning, make sure you answer these questions, Janine. Who are you? What do you do? Where do you do it? And why should I care? All right. So
I would
Nancy's
add, I
like,
would add two more if you can, is what problem do you solve and how do you solve it?
to me, that's who are you? It's not the about page. It's
Okay.
what's the problem, but you are more specific and that needs to be said. Thank you, Jeff. Yep.
Mhm.
No, I very much appreciate that. So anyway, so with all that said, Grace, I don't know if you and Nancy have been able to connect, but connect on LinkedIn or somewhere and maybe follow up with each other. Nancy, she put in the chat, Grace, would you put it in again? Sometimes Zoom won't let Nancy see what's happened before.
Yes.
But she just started her website. Very proud of her. She's rocking it. I know, I know. We're all like, yay, go Grace. And then, but Nancy's the pro. I'll look at it as somebody who is an author, who is your demographic. I'll look at it with fresh eyes and then give you my 2 cents as far as what I'm looking for when I'm looking for an editor. And then Nancy can help you with the uh, other stuff that is important
Okay.
to her field. Okay. Bravo. Well done. Excellent.
Thank
So
you.
keep calling people. And then when they say, oh, really, what do you do? And you can share. And then if they have any kind of inclination, you can always say, if you want to book an appointment, and then you can just send them to your landing page and start getting people to go into the landing page. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Bravo. Anything else you wanted to share? I mean, that's huge considering you were
Um,
ill.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. I've just
Yeah.
been plugging away at calls other than that.
Hey, Grace, do you know how to get a QR code for yourself?
I think so, yes.
Yeah,
I have a friend
just go
who's done it,
online.
so I
Just
can
go
ask
online and
her.
type it in. How do I create a
Okay.
QR code? And this way, you might want to have something that is tangible to hand to people, like akin to
Mhm.
a business card, but with a QR code that just takes them right to the site,
Okay.
as Jeff is
Yeah, that's
showing
a good
us.
idea.
As Jeff is pointing to his QR
Yes.
code, because when you're on Zoom and you have a QR code, you can just say, just click on my QR code. And a lot of people have their phone right there with their computer. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Food for
Anyway,
thought.
oh, fun. That's cool. I use
Yeah.
that all the time when I'm at psychic fairs and I'm doing readings as a shaman. I have a card that just is pay what you can. And they click on the QR code, it takes them right to my Stripe account, and they can just enter their credit card information and blah, blah, blah. And I have so many people that go, I can't get reception in here. I'll have to go outside the building. I'm like, I trust you. Here's the QR code, and they're like, okay. I have people always pay me. It's no problem. They're 99.9% of people are honest. It's that 0.1% can really foul things up for the rest of us.
Can't believe you called me out on that. I was gonna pay.
Again, I know, right? The labeling here. It's insane.
Oh,
Somebody called DEI. Anyway, so that's where you can go with that. So awesome. All right. So Kathy, hey, talk to us. What's happening? What's going on?
Hey, Well, I was thinking about the calling people and stuff. And a lot of people that I'm thinking about calling, I've noticed that they've all started their own little like MLM businesses and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm kind of worried about buying things.
Because you want to help support your friend, and then it will blow
Yes,
you
and
past your budget and all that kind of stuff.
should I just avoid them altogether? I feel like, or I mean, I this is really something that I've thought about, and
yeah,
I don't want to alienate people.
right. No, because they're in MLMs, they're learning how to be entrepreneurs, right? They're just learning. And so one of the things is that you're like, you know, I am not interested. When they hit their pitch, you go, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm calling as a friend to a friend. I just wanted to let you know I'm writing a book. I'm not asking you to buy anything. You're asking me to sign up or buy or what have you from your thing, which I do want to do, but I don't have the budget right now. And I mean that seriously. You know, I have so many friends who are in MLM. If I start buying from you, I am going to feel obligated to buy from all these other stuff beyond my budget. However, I have a friend who can help you with your MLM business, bring them to Open Friday Coffee. And then
Okay.
that way they're around all these entrepreneurs and we can help them with their pitch so they're not pitching to their friends, right? Because MLM, that's what they do. They tell you to pitch to all your friends. What is it? You know, get your 100 best friends and you just start calling them, like they exhaust it instead of doing networking, which is where you don't sell us. We're your entrepreneurs. We're your friends. What you do is you go out and you find the need, talk to people, find out what it is, and we teach them the heart-centered relationship first marketing instead of the just try to sell and then drop the person and then move on without the relationship, right? So that's what I would recommend. Bring them to Open Friday Coffee. Say, I can't afford to buy from you, but why don't you join my networking group, or why don't you join a group that helps each other with their pitch or something like that. You decide. But that way you're like, here, I want to help you with your business. Do you know anything about relationship marketing? All right, you need to come to Open Friday Coffee where you learn about relationship marketing. And that way they don't think we're going to break out rooms and everybody, yeah, right?
Okay. All right. That's really helpful because I didn't want to go in blind without
Right.
some sort of
Yeah.
strategy, and
Yeah.
the
So
next
write
thing
out
you
your
know,
script. Write out your script. Everybody, I don't know how people can get on the phone and not have a script if they haven't been in sales. Like Jeff, I would never ask to write a script. The guy's been in sales for decades, right? So it's like, but I always
still
have like
write
my
them.
bullet points. Say again?
I still write them.
I
just
still
do it in
write them.
bullet
Yeah,
points.
right. I would never ask you to do that, but it's a habit that we learned
Yeah.
early on. Like 1982, I was taught how to write out scripts. And why did I learn it in 1982? It was the first time I became a Mary Kay consultant at age 18. And Mary Kay was all about relationship marketing, not selling to your friends, but being sure that you are actually giving them what they need. And at the time, the economy was really booming. It was doing great. And she goes, no matter how poor someone is, they can always afford a lipstick, which at the time it was like the minimum you would walk out of your door was you at least have lipstick on, right? Hey, I forgot my lips. I remember people saying that. Oh, forgot my lips. Let me put my lips on. Yeah. Nowadays, Grace, I know, insane. But there we are. That's where we were. And that was the minimalistic woman. That was like, we were hardcore rebels. We just put on our lips. That was it. Okay, moving on. Kathy, write your script. That way you can send them and then give them the Open Friday Coffee link.
okay.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
that way they're getting help from you, but you're not buying from them. And then we can give them a little bit more assistance with their MLM because I understand why they're doing it. Everybody's seeking extra cash right now. It's a little crazy
Well,
right now.
and then then there's a thing like it feels almost like when you go to a convenience store and you use the restroom and you want to buy something because you've used their restroom.
Right.
And I kind of feel that way. Like I've talked
Right.
to them, I contacted them, and here, I'm telling them about my book. Should I?
Yeah, but you're not asking them to buy it because you're
No.
going to give them the book for free when you're done with it, because you're going to give them the e-copy. Do you see? There's no exchange. You're asking for exchange of time, not money.
Okay.
It's unequal. It's unequal. Yeah. So hope that helps, and have fun writing your script, and send me your script and I'll look it over if you want me to. Otherwise, I think you're totally going to do fine. You don't need me on that. Yeah. Nancy, what's cooking, dear? How can we help you?
Well, I've got to say that you inspired me, you and Kathy, this morning when I told you my opening line about waking up with the moonlight in my face. And I started to write, and I'm thinking, I feel that SEO is, you have said many times, it's really not for the person starting out with their business or their website. And I disagree to a point in that as I work with people, my clients, and I start doing SEO with them, it gets them clear as to who they are, what they're doing, because with the search shows them and me what people are looking for now. And if we're, and so it's interesting because sometimes, I lose website clients because I want to be able to create a good site for them. And they think, well, that's not what I want. It's like, well, this is what people are asking for. So if you can, if we can get more clear and you can have a strong message, not only for you, the people who come to your website, but for the robots to be able to send people to you. That's, that's really, so it's both beginning and it's also very high level. So I started to write this morning and realizing that, yes, Janine, you're very right, because unless and until someone clearly defines who they are and what they do for people and how they bring in money, you can't sell anything. You're not in business. So and yet at the same time, I'm also beginning to write as an author. So I'm like feeling totally confused as to, thinking, okay, I'm spending all this time doing this and I have other work that I have to get done that actually pays the bills. So yeah, how to stop that chatter in my head that this is not where I should be spending my time.
Right. Because as an entrepreneur, it's like, this is not paying the bills. Why am I doing this? All right, let's talk about being fed. This is the thing. Everybody is connected to a belly. All right. And so in relationship marketing, that's the one thing I like to talk to people about. When they say, I can't afford you, or I can tell that they're looking at dollar signs and they're like totally impeded. They're not hearing me because they're waiting for the dollar amount. Right. What are you going to charge me? I say, look, everybody on this planet is connected to a belly. I'm feeding 4 kids in college right now. I know you have your own challenges. So how can we work together? Pay what you can. I started with the pay with what you can philosophy with that. And it's amazing how I have people paying me as little as $6, and I have other people that are paying thousands. So, and that's nice. But at the same time, I want to be able to serve everyone. And so I am going to get to your question. But understand, do you have enough to pay the bills this month? And then after you answer that question, if the answer is yes, I have enough to pay the bills this month, then I tell my inner critic, I know you're worried, and I know that your anxiety has saved me in the past. Now it's not. I talk very gently to my inner critic because my inner critic will go off the rails, right? So I'm very gentle with my inner critic because she is the younger version of myself. She's usually about 6 years old, is my inner critic's. So if you look at the emotional maturity of that, you got to talk to the belly, right? So that inner critic is quite young. And you say to that inner critic, thank you for the anxiety you had, because sometimes you didn't know where your next meal was coming from because of the transition your family was going through. Therefore, calm down. We've got all the bills paid. I have all the time there is to do this. I can take the next 90 minutes or whatever your time is, and you can sit over here in an easy chair with your feet in the hot water and you're all cuddled up and you're watching your favorite cartoons and you present a story for them. And then your inner critic will calm down for the next 90 minutes because you've taken care of the belly. You've taken care of that alligator brain that's panicking and has saved you in the past. And every author goes through this, right, Kathy? Every author, right, Rich? Right, Jeff? All my authors, not mine, but you're all part of my community of authors. Yeah. So that's the alligator brain trying to tell you, you don't have enough money, you don't have enough time, you don't have enough resources, you don't have enough. And it's there for a reason. I mean, how else do we expand and grow and become better if we don't have that, I don't have enough? And that's where you have to stop yourself and go, I have enough. Artists are very good at just stopping the world. They're living on the street under a car somewhere, but they say they have enough because the art is more important. And boy, by Jove, they're going to be out there at 11 o'clock with their headlamp and spray painting on the side of railroad cars. Yes, I know people like this. So you're not in that situation. I'm making light of it, but I think you know where I'm going with this. You just have to find ways to calm down your inner critic. Okay. So there you go. Is that helpful?
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You helped me so much with my SEO. Thank you. It's nice to be able to help you with your writing. Anyway, anything else, Nancy, you wanted to follow up with, or are you good?
No, just that it's also very exciting because as I write, I then figure things out for myself. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. You become your own best guide. And that's what I want for everybody. I don't want you to feel like you ever need this group, this think tank. I always want you to feel like it's a walking stick. All right. And that's what's going on my website is I finally figured out, no, I'm not a guide. No, I'm not the pulsar. Yeah. Like I was trying to come up, what the heck is my metaphor? What's me? What do I do for people? And it took me probably 18 months of really narrowing it down. And I finally figured it out this past weekend. I'm a walking stick. I'm not there. I'm not the person making the journey. But I am the walking stick. I steady the person because they've got a backpack of stuff. And everybody's seen that picture of me where I got the 2 poles and I'm hiking and I got this huge backpack on. And I realized, what do I do for people? I'm the walking stick. I steady you. I'm not telling you the path. I'm not telling you how to go, but I am steadying you along your path. Yeah. And so once I realized that, everything else fell together. And so that's the conversation Nancy and I will have later when she goes, okay, Janine, let's build out this website. Anyhow, okay.
Well, I love people. I love the people in the group here, and I love seeing Rich's, images and hearing what people are doing. And so.
Yeah. So welcome to the think tank. Rishwali, we'll get back to you in just a minute. We're going to go to Rich and then Jeff and then Rishwali. Hey, wonderful to see you. Great to have you with us. All right. So Rich, talk to us about the lovely island that you're on.
Let's see. It is currently 42 and cloudy. I got to play some moist tennis this morning, which is better than no tennis. And as I'm hitting, I realized there was this big blob of something like it looked like Dawn dish detergent. So I just on the middle of the thing. So I just had it be like that I would work around that. Hell that was. It's a children's playground too, by the way. So you'll go out and the wall will have chalk all over it or on the ground and that kind of thing. So, anyway, this is so timely. First of all, I got a chance to see from what you wrote to Jeff Borshawa about the walking stick as an example. That was so powerful. That was so incredibly powerful. And you really put it very succinctly. your the space that you're occupying,
Mm.
you know. And going back to Nancy, you know, that voice, it must be loud enough for me to hear it because I've got that in my head all the time. And I go out for walks and all of a sudden I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to feel like this. I don't want to think about this. And just because you're thinking about it doesn't mean you have to keep thinking about it. Just because you're thinking a certain way doesn't mean you have to keep thinking that certain way. You know, there's a default voice in our heads. And we can choose whether to listen to it or not. And that's taken forever in my life to get to that point of understanding that it's choice, that I don't have to stay in this wallow if that's where I'm at. And then once I do that, something will happen and I'll start cracking up. I'll see something, I'll think of something, and then all of a sudden there's the shift. So I'm just very timely that we're having this conversation.
The message that Rich is talking about, I ended up changing it up a little bit and taking out the personal details of Jeff, and it's going to go onto my website as an article because it really did exemplify what I felt about myself. And it was one of those things where the universe definitely aligns, and my friend Jeff had a extraordinary experience and he was going to blast it out to the world, and I was being a walking stick to steady him on that process, not telling him what to do, but just giving a little bit of stability to what had happened to him. Because when you have these awakening moments spiritually, and as entrepreneurs, we know you're like, you get tingly all over. You're like, this is the best idea since sliced bread. This is going to so rocket me forward. I cannot wait. And we're jumping out of bed. Maybe this is just me. And I spend 4 straight hours doing all the automation I need to do, blast it out there. And I get one person that gives me $9, right? But that doesn't mean the idea was bad. It just means that you were excited and you're fishing in the wrong pond. You were saying it to all the wrong people. They are not ready for the message. And that's what I noticed was happening with Jeff. And I just wanted to align him so that he would fish in the correct pond. That's all I wanted to make sure of for my dear friend. So I will send that out when I send you guys the Open Friday Coffee link and everything. I'll put that in there so you can read it. And I know it will be powerful because you guys are fishing in the right ponds for yourself. And I know that it will also inspire you to write your version of that. And I would love for you then to share it with me. Right? To piggyback on what happened with me, and then share with me what your perspective is for your business. Okay, so we'll do that. Thank you so much, Rich. And one of the things that I love is when my frequent flyer miles get up high enough, I'm going to be able to go out and finally visit Rich in person in August, not September. I don't know why I thought September. It's in August. Anyway, I'm going to
I saw
fly.
that.
Thank you. Janine can't figure out 8, 9. I don't know what month I'm talking about.
Well, I went to my calendar just to double check, and it put it in my calendar. All of a sudden, there's your flight in on. I'm like, okay.
Don't have Gmail. I know how to automate. Anyway, so can't wait to visit Manhattan with through the eyes of Rich Beyer. Okay, Jeff, I promised you next. How are you doing? What's happening? Do you have things you want to celebrate? What's going on?
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. First of all, I've been fishing in a willow tree instead of the right pond.
That's where
there's
my
all-
kite is.
There's all kinds of analogies you guys have used, and I'm just like, wait a minute, that's not for me. The voices in my head speak a foreign language, so that's never helped. The interesting thing about it, and I'm the biggest reason I came here this morning was to tell you all thank you. I feel like I'm now in the right pond. I've never felt better about where I'm at and my direction, and the words of "why not me?" And when everybody tell me, you know, you're funny, at least some people have told me that. Some people, yeah, okay. I said, you know what, why can't I use that? Because I've dreamt about being a comedian since I was about 7 or 8 years old. And oh, and by the way, if you're talking about everybody being connected to the belly, I am the king. Okay. Uh, I'm ruling it. 6'2", 375. Anyway, so I
Jeff, are
wanted
you
to
a
thank
Packers
everybody.
fan?
And yeah, I wanted to thank everybody for helping me go along the path that I really wanted anyway, getting out of my own way and trying to figure out, okay, well, the interesting thing about it is basically 3 forms of my business have taken place that I can, it's all comedy, but in 3 different directions. And I like all of them. It's going to be the same process in all 3, just different medium venues, whatever, depending on how you look at it. So it was this place, and mostly Janine and Rich. Not that the rest of you aren't important, but pushing me along the path that I wanted to be on anyway, and just giving me permission to say, you know what, pursue that. And I remember, Janine, you said again, I want to see you pursue the comedy thing, and it haunted me.
Good. Glad I could be your specter.
Yeah, it was. It absolutely was. I heard it over and over and over. I want you to pursue it, and pursuing it as a living versus pursuing it as cutting up on a networking program. Just they're not the same. And I feel happy about where I'm at in that.
Mhm.
Thank you all.
You're welcome. And one of the things is, I find you incredibly funny. And I know how important humor is. Everybody's taken things a little too seriously, especially in the United States. In the United States right now, so many of our institutions are destabilizing because of the current administration. And the current administration, believe it or not, and this is the world according to Janine. I don't mean this in a political way, but I am going to speak my mind. So I'm sorry, you can go la la la. But this is the thing. He's destabilizing everything that was decaying, but we were being hidden from it. Now, is he doing that to the good stuff too? Of course, because he's destabilizing everything to see who is going to be strong, who's going to move forward, who's going to lead out. Okay, and you don't have to have that perspective. You can go ahead and have whatever perspective you want. But I choose as an entrepreneur to see opportunities where others see chaos and calamity. Okay, so I, as an entrepreneur, and I've been an entrepreneur since I was 10, so this is my perspective on life. Every time I see something like this happening, which in my life, I've had many times where things have burnt to the ground, nothing but ash. And I had to go, okay, where do I go from here? I've had to do this so many times that when I see it happening in my own government, I go, well, this is going to be interesting because I'm waiting to see how it settles down. And then I'm seeing opportunities that we've never had before already. So, you're entrepreneurs. When people see chaos, we see, yes, it's a calamity to the system that was before. It's true. It is a calamity. However, I also saw corruption and I saw decay and I saw rot, and I did not, as an individual, know how to fix it. So I went in a different path as an entrepreneur. Now I'm being gifted opportunities that I never had before through the calamity and the chaos. So that's how I choose to see this. And people will say, oh, don't you love those rose-colored glasses? I said, no, mine are green because it's about money. And it comes to me when I look at it this way. Because what are we doing? We are taking something that is happening and we are providing a service that people desperately need. And Jeff, in your case, it's humor, it's lightening up, and a sense of connection, right? That is what people are seeking. They're seeking stability, security, and connection. And Kathy was talking to me earlier today about how many of her friends have MLMs, and she calls them up and says, hey, are you interested in being a beta reader? I'm offering something for free, and they're trying to sell her their product. So if you run into that because people are freaking out and they need to make they have a side hustle and they've never been an entrepreneur before, invite them to Open Friday Coffee, where we entrepreneurs can say, okay, let's talk about relationship marketing, shall we? Please do not sell to your friends. Ask your friends if they know people that will allow you to speak on their stage. Okay? That's how you
or build my own. The other thing I thought of with your analogy there, my job is to kick it all in the ash and make it funny at the same time. So,
Thank you. Thank you very much. So you guys have your work cut out for you. Your mission, if you choose to accept it. This is how I see it. We're in the United States. Those of you who are outside the US, you have your own things you're dealing with on top of what's happening in your home country. But it's one of those things that there's calamity and chaos every day. There has never been a time where this planet was totally at peace, except when humans weren't there, is what I've had some people say. And I'm like, have you looked at the animal kingdom lately? Do you see the violence that goes on? Maybe you don't see the predator and prey that I do. This planet has always been in chaos and calamity, but there's also been peace and beauty. So help people find that, if you don't mind, in your own special way. So thank you for that. Go ahead, Jeff.
my most peaceful day was the day before I was born. You're absolutely right.
I had it all. I was being fed by a tube. I didn't have any plans. There was
Yeah,
no
not so
to-do
much for
list.
your mother.
I don't know why my dad calls me fathead, but that's another story.
Dun dun dun. And Rashwali, please save us. Good morning.
Good
Sorry for
morning,
that segue.
everyone.
Holy cow.
It is lovely to have you and Grace visiting us from outside of the US. So please tell us, how can we help you today, my dear?
It's been going great. What I was thinking about after the last few meetings on Friday Coffee was the 60/40. I keep coming back because it's just so exciting to do that and watch it unfold. I'm like, well, I want to give. And I'm sure there's a lot of organizations that I am not aware of, but somebody else is aware of that I should be able to explore. So, do we have a list of good organizations that need to be given to?
That's a wonderful question. Thank you, Rashwali. When it comes to the money aspect of life, whenever people ask me about philanthropy, I'm like, oh, don't you worry. When you are willing to give, the universe will present to you the exact perfect institution. You don't need to go seeking it out. It's going to come to you, especially with the way you radiate your life intention for Shwali, the way you radiate that. So the thing is you can go digging around, but what I have found is anytime I had, let's say, $200 extra dollars, $1,500 extra dollars. There's one time I had $15,000 I was looking to give. And I waited. I sat on that because I'm like, I know there's a group. That $15,000 went to a startup. I was their first donor. And this is a little gruesome, so maybe you guys want to, la la la. But they would go in, and after a violent crime had been committed, they would clean the person's house that was the victim. They would clean it up for either the heirs or the person, so they didn't have to go back in and see any of that. And so they had a business name and blah, 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 but they worked with the local police department. And so we got them started. They were a nonprofit group, and I was lucky enough to be their first donor. And so I never in a million years would have looked for that. No, I'm just saying, I don't take any credit. I had the money, the universe brought that group to me. I was at a event that I was a third choice speaker at. Third choice, like I was like, they were scraping the bottom of the barrel as far as they were concerned, and they allowed me to speak at this event. And I ended up, just because I was there and being the crazy person I am, I donated, and I said, I will donate dollar to dollar up to $15,000. Who will give? And we ended up raising $45,000 for them in a matter of 25 minutes. Okay. So that's the power you guys have. You have the same sort of power and ability when you're sitting there holding cash and you know what you can do. And what you do is you get as many people to join you as possible while they're inspired. And why did we raise so much money? There happened to be two CEOs of various corporations that were calling their accountants to see how much they could match because they couldn't stand the thought that this crazy woman that they didn't even know was forking over 15 grand just because they didn't know my process. So I know you will be able to, and it's fun. It's fun to do it that way. It's fun. So enjoy your trip. Enjoy your journey. Okay. Yeah. Did you have anything you wanted to ask follow-up wise?
No, sorted. So
Okay.
I always do this when I have good mentors, and we've all got our own time crunches. So I don't wait around now. I say, what would Janine do? And the answer comes to me, and I work on it.
You're welcome.
WWJD, that's different. All right.
I that is kind of different. Usually here in the United States is what would Jesus do? And it's funny because the J, which is why Jeff is saying that. Oh my
I've never had Jeff substituted in there.
I know. We need to fix that.
Never will.
So, Virtuali, you have a lot of good mentors and you also have a guru. All right. So always take your heart and breathe in with what your guru, and that will pull it in. And of course, if you really want to bring in the big guns, you always have Mahavatar Babaji, right?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yeah,
Hey,
definitely.
I got a quick question. Hey, Matt, do you ever use that? What would Jesus do?
Or I,
Me?
you know, or for me, it's what would the Jews do?
What would the Jews do?
What would the
Yeah.
Jews
My
do?
Hebrew ha-has had to come in with their zingers. Thank you, gentlemen.
Well,
Always love it. Always love it.
The history of everything Judaism, every holiday is they tried to kill us. We won. Let's eat.
Exactly. That's a synopsis, and
Right.
so
Well, I always thought there was a like, na 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 in there, but okay.
No. We're
well, I mean,
You
we've
don't
been
taunt
here.
the enemy.
I
we
mean,
take the
we've
high
been
road.
here for we've been here for almost 5,700 years. So
Bravo. Bravo.
either God loves us or he's punishing us, one or the other. So
And the jury is still out.
That's why they walked around the desert for 40 years because no one was willing to stop and ask for directions.
or there was no place to get any good pastrami and corned beef online. That's why.
And hence matzah.
Exactly.
Which is why you guys had to blow down the walls of Jericho because they wouldn't let you in. Is that what I'm hearing?
Anything for abyssal food.
And with that, we're back to being fed and empty bellies. Thank you, Rich, for bringing it back around so we could do a callback. Hi, Matt. Lovely to have you with us. How are you doing today, dear?
Hi there. I was not expecting to actually be on. I thought my networking meeting would actually go way past 10 o'clock, and I wouldn't make it on. In fact, I sent you that voice message last night, and so
Okay, I got it.
yes.
Thank you.
I'm happy to be here. But the one thing that is great about this group is that you never know the impression you'll leave on people. And Janine has been like, another mother to me in that respect, or Mama Bear, she likes to say. And she sent me a very flattering voicemail that meant a lot to me, or voice message, I should say. And one thing that I mentioned this group before, which I'll mention to all you now, is that watch the videos on Janine's YouTube. And so like last night, I watched me speaking and look at how people react to you. Look at, their expression on their face, if you're putting smiles, if they're laughing, if they're engaging. And so that was one thing that you iterated on. And so you never know the power of one to make an impression on others, which is awesome. And so me just being my dorky 5-year-old self was great. And just, being genuine, authentic is what will sit there and allow you to make those meaningful connections to people, especially when you're being genuine and empathetic toward others, which is awesome. So, and Janine is, a great human being, and I'm grateful to know her. So, and other people on here too, Nancy and Rich too. So, big thing this week, you can't avoid it until it comes back again in 90 days, or the Trump tariffs. That will definitely affect your technology. almost everything is made outside of this country, including China. So if you are going to be making purchases, now's the time to do it before the prices go up like an 80-year-old on Viagra. So just throwing it out there to you. The other thing also, and Janine knows this as well, for those of you who have Pixel phones, the new 9A, their budget phone came out. Guess who bought one? It's coming in the mail, and that will offer 7 years of updates, improved AI, improved cameras, and between 30 and 50 hours of battery life. How is that for amazing? As well as, decent cameras and good speakers. So if you're looking for a good budget phone, especially if you're in the Android universe, that would sit there and make sense. Also, speaking of Google, they came out with massive AI conference this week where that's going to be integrated into their Gemini or their AI that's coming out. So these huge corporations are going full steam on AI, and how you implement that in your business or how it affects you because you are a business owner will be determined, to be going forward. So I think
Matt,
that's all
Matt,
really
yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. No, you are doing great. No, you're doing great. I'm just interrupting because I have a question.
Okay, go for it.
Can you put a link to the Pixel that you're talking about? Because I will buy one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want Zelda or do you want like the phone?
The phone.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
And the other thing is when it comes to AI and all the things that are happening, please realize this is why it's so important that you call people. This is why it's so important that you do voice texting if you can on your phone. And if you can on your phone, then do voice texting on LinkedIn or use it on Facebook. People need to hear your voice. They connect to your voice. All right. And one of the things that some people have been saying to me is, I didn't know if it was you or if it was one of those automated AI things because you're so good at automation. I thought, baby, Janine's doing this to everybody. She goes, but then you said a very special event that was happening in her life. And I said that to her. And she was like, and that's when I knew it was you. So make sure that you say something that they know you know about them. Okay. Because the AI is really good at being able to, and eventually it'll probably get good at this too, but leave a voice text, talk to people on the phone, leave messages, let them know that you're thinking about them. And Grace, all I can say is bravo. Kathy, all I can say is bravo. Keep rocking it. You two are doing that. And then Matt, what did you want to wrap up with? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, not at all. It's just the fact that as painfully nerdy as I am, the human factor is still very important. And so, so many, and this just took me a while to learn this. There are so many things lost with technology in terms of the human senses. If you're just reading something, there's no audio or emotional aspect there. When you have voice, it helps tie a person to human where you can relate to them more. If you have video, it helps you to see the person to make that cognitive, association with that person, their looks, their mannerisms, their facial expressions. By creating those memories and not Instagram, that helps you to solidify the technical side and then very much the humanity side. So just want to throw that out there from somebody who's having their pocket protector serviced right now. So.
Thank you, Nerdy Matt. We appreciate you. So we've gone around and we've had everybody. We've got about 11 minutes before we have to wrap up. Now, anybody want to do a follow-up question or anybody have something they wish to share? Go ahead, Jeff.
We were talking about the living in the car, and one of the funniest lines I've ever heard was on Zach Galifianakis, Between Two Ferns, where he was talking to Tiffany Haddish, who is famously had lived in her car for a while. And one of Zach's first questions was, so I understood at the beginning, before you got famous, you lived in a car. She said, yes, I did. He said, is it as fun as it sounds, or is there a downside? And you think about it, as a kid, you go, oh, I could live in my car. It's like a fort. And when you're an adult, you go, no, that's not good. I just thought that was a hilarious line.
I think it is a matter of perspective. How many entrepreneurs have you heard that talk about living in their office? Like they had rented an office space, they couldn't afford their business, was like the overhead was crazy. And so they had free memberships at the Y because their income level was so low. So they're showering at the Y, they're living in their office. It was 24/7 gig. And then people get cranky at them when they finally make it because they had that kind of drive, right? And so you find out when you really start digging into somebody's story, if you're still judgmental about them, I'm like, you haven't dug deep enough yet, when you really learn somebody's story. So
I want
thank
to
you.
make a t-shirt that's, or maybe a Zoom background that says, you're not an entrepreneur if you haven't Googled food banks or shelters.
Yes, I know. Exactly. I've Googled food banks 3 times. It's true. There are times you have to do that. And then
So
people
many times
wonder,
I'm walking by an outdoor cafe, I'm thinking to myself, you gonna finish that?
because that looks pretty yummy, but I know I can't afford that place right now. But it's very true. And then people wonder why we're so philanthropic, because we remember all the people that helped us get where we need to be. I remember my first client that I didn't even have a prototype. I was selling off a Google Doc, right? I didn't even have a website, for crying out loud. So that's where I tell people, oh, I don't have a website. You have a Google Doc, build a landing page, go. How do you think Nancy receives half of my crazy ideas? Off a Google Doc. So there you go. Use a Google Doc if you have to. Okay. Anything else? We got 8 minutes, people. No? Okay.
It's Friday.
It's Friday. We made it. Life is good. I would like to bring in my own celebration. My youngest child, my youngest of 4, is graduating college with her anthropology degree. And the thing that I'm celebrating, thank you, that is a celebration in and of itself. But the thing that I'm celebrating is her undergraduate research has caught fire so much that she was asked to Greece. She just got back. She was asked to speak at Chicago. She just got back. And the latest one, she was at Washington, D.C., talking about gender identity, agency, and pockets in women's clothing. It
Wait,
started
can you
off.
say that again?
She's talking about pockets in women's clothing and how it affects gender identity. I know every woman goes, yay!
Oh, wow.
And men don't understand this, and you wouldn't have to, because ever since you were 8 years old and 5 years old and up, you've had deep pockets. It went past your wrist, whereas women have never had pockets in their clothing. And so we have gender identity and agency issues with our clothing because we don't have pockets. And my daughter's research has shown, this is her conclusion, you cannot blame men in an industry of fashion when they have never experienced the problem. And men are just now, with fast fashion, starting to experience the problem that they have a pocket, but their hands are too big and they actually can't get their hands in their pockets now. And I know, and we're like, oh, that sucks, doesn't it, dude? And they're like, yeah, and it's not like I have somebody that can carry my stuff for me, right? Like a lot of them say that their wives or girlfriends will say, hey, can you carry this for me? This is why we don't have pockets in our clothing. So what started off as a little thing, my daughter has taken off with storm, and she calls it the missing void.
Wow.
I
This is
know.
so fascinating. I mean, the pants I wear, the brand, it's because of the pockets. There's
Correct.
a zippered pocket for my wallet and this for this, and then and same thing with coats. It's the first thing I check is how many and are they deep enough? Never knew that about women's clothing.
Oh, Janine, question for you. If there weren't pockets for women's clothing, then how did Alanis Sett in the 90s have one hand in her pocket?
I know.
Exactly. So apparently she was ahead of the time. Alanis, maybe because she's Canadian, who knows? And so she had hands in her pockets. It's like if she has hands in her pockets, then maybe this was addressed and they forgot about it. It's coming back in style again, like baggy pants.
Okay, I'm going to tell you a secret that many of the women of the 80s never shared with anyone. We bought men's clothing, and that was not cool back then. And that's one of the reasons why I was able to talk to Sam Walton, the owner of Walmart, was because I was complaining about if I wanted clothing that lasted a long time and had pockets, I had to dress like a dyke. I actually said that because I did not know the man in front of me was Sam Walton.
Oh,
Yeah, so there you
that's
go.
funny.
Virtually, you had something you wanted to share before we close up today.
Going along with this theory about identity, we own a brick and mortar retail shop for women, and of course, it's my spouse who runs it. And when he would do the purchasing, we would have pretty prints for the tunics in front, and the back of the dress would be plain. I'm like, no, women don't want to wear it. We want prints back and front, so don't buy them. And that's one of the trends that the shop took off because there were prints in the back.
Exactly. We know that when we walk by, the men will not look at us until our back is to them, and therefore we would like to look pretty behind us as well as in front. Yes. Well done, Virtually. Yeah.
Once again, I'm fishing in the willow tree instead of the right pond, because that ain't me at all. Is the pocket part of the anthropology, does that have a specific name? Because my cousin was in anthropology, but it was calcium anthropology, the study of milkmen.
Yes, hers
That's
is
not my joke, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Hers is actually a specialty in cultural anthropology.
Cultural.
Yeah,
Yogurt.
Yes, yogurt. It's
that's
all about
exactly-
bacteria. There you go. Back to the stomach, and are we being fed? Bravo! Call back from my Hebrew haha. Yeah.
Or gut health, I should say.
Gut health. All right, folks, we're going to wrap it up. And I'm going to
Thank
wish you all, I'm going to wish you all a wonderful weekend. Expect an email from me for you guys, and I'll have two things on there. I'll have the email that Rich is talking about to inspire you to write your own, okay? And then the second thing is I'll send you a link to the YouTube channel where you have all the Open Friday coffees. And I want you to be very narcissistic. I want you to go and watch yourself on there when you're speaking or how people are responding to you. You'll remember which ones you were at and which ones you were speaking on. So that way you can see how people respond to you, because that's why I shared that with Matt, because I knew Matt hadn't seen that. He was so busy just focusing on sharing. I'm like, he wasn't seeing what I was seeing, which was how everybody was very grateful for the information he was passing along. And I know they do the same with you. So I'd like you to be able to share that with yourself. So with that being said, go out there and remember, every person you talk to is tied to a stomach. How can you help them fill their stomach? Have a fabulous day. We'll talk to you later.